Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back this time around with some South American Dota, if you would believe it. Of course, it's a whole qualifier with 8 open qualifier slots and 2 directly invited teams. Um, so plenty of Dota left to be played here on this
Yeah,
particular line, to say the least. And we've already had some issues, Luccini. Not sure they realized that the idea is to play games one after the other, so one of the players was a little bit late as a result. They got some draft penalty and only have 20 seconds of reserve time. Anyway, my name's
I
Strike Drop,
think uh, I
and
think also before we get too far into this, there are not Spanish casters for
yeah,
the Kiev qualifiers. I'm gonna just real quick public service announcement for the Spanish viewers looking for a Spanish caster. In the client can't find it. Bienvenidos al torneo preliminar de Sudamérica. Desafortunadamente no hay analistas españoles para este juego, pero disfruta de nuestra cobertura en inglés. Hitbox.tv/drag and drop. Gracias por unirte a nosotros. All right, everything's in English now. Thanks, guys.
damn Gorgon, that
I
was
feel
pretty good.
so bad. I feel
Yeah.
so bad for the South American fans who don't get language based
Hey,
casting, but we'll do our best.
you know what we can do? You can cast in Spanish. I can cast in English, and we'll see if I can understand you and actually play off of you properly.
Yeah, I'll cast with my 4th grade level Spanish,
Yeah.
which is just enough for me to barely communicate with South Americans in my pubs, and then you can try to understand my broken Spanish and you'll probably understand it just about as well as any Spanish speaker would.
Yeah, I can probably. To be fair though, I could probably understand it as well as proper Spanish as well. So because I don't speak a single word of it, so it really makes no difference to me. But anyway, Gorgon, thanks for joining me, or I'm joining you, I guess technically.
I'm
But
just happy to be here back with you, man.
yeah,
I had a lot
absolutely.
of fun earlier today. You know, you and I are. It must be a time zone thing or something because our schedules never sync
Yeah,
up.
it
And I know
doesn't really
we're
quite.
always
Yeah.
like, you have a lot of games that you cast, and I am always trying, like, I'm always looking to hook up with you, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen that often.
Well, every once in a while, for these qualifiers, the stars align, we get to cast together, and we get to cast some
Yeah.
fun Dota. Because if there's one thing that I remember about South American Dota, it's been a while since I casted it, so you're gonna have to uh, take up the expert role in this sense. But if I remember one thing is that it's always a lot of fun to watch. So I'm expecting nothing less here. Between Not Today and Luccini. Not Today 2-0 so far. Luccini 0-2. So tells us something about what we can possibly expect. But let's actually talk about the draft because we see a lot of bugs. We see a Sven, a Lich.
Yeah, so let's just go over the draft real fast, I guess. The Silencer is great against the Weaver. Global Silence is really good through a good portion of the game. We'll probably force out a BKB or a Manta purchase, possibly a BKB instead of a Lincoln's. Sven is pretty good against Timbersaw. He's got that big, nice stun to stop Timbersaw, but also cleave damage does go through armor. So reactive armor not as strong against this Sven. Lich is pretty well countered by Rubik. And Shadow Fiend has, well, it'll be interesting to see who Shadow Fiend's laning opponent is. Faceless Void is a bit of a mixed bag into the Sand King because if you can catch him in a Chronosphere, that's great. But if you don't, then the Epicenter basically cancels out the benefit that you get from the Chronosphere. So both teams really coming out with some advantages here out of this draft.
Yeah, it's definitely not as cookie cutter kind of. You can actually tell who's gonna win out of this draft alone, and even who's just going to win lanes. Obviously, we still have yet to see Not Today's mid pickup, but outside of that, you have some solid lanes also on the back of the Lich, just stabilizing that off lane or perhaps even the mid lane a little bit with some sacrifices, while it's just
Hey,
throwing down the frost blasts.
I just checked out the stream and I can't help but notice that there's not a 5-minute delay. So after the
What?
draft, I think we will need to reboot
Holy
the
shit!
stream.
Yeah.
Those of you in ticket aren't going to have any problems, but those of you on stream may notice it go out for 5 minutes, and that's just because we're supposed to have a delay. And I guess
Yeah,
messed
I
that up.
had
So
set it up
our
earlier.
apologies.
Might have reset on Hitbox for some reason. That was really odd. But yeah, Temple Assassin is gonna be the last pick, and I'm gonna restart the stream real quick. So we'll be back in
Cool.
5 minutes Unless hitbox craps out on me again. That would be unfortunate.
Yeah, well, hopefully that doesn't. If it's just a bug, but my little speechy bubble thing that indicates when I'm
Yeah.
talking is not activating as often as I would like it to. It's making me a little nervous that the in-game viewers can't hear me. If in-game viewers you cannot hear me, please go to hitbox.tv/dragondrop and tell me or tweet at me at the Wonder Cow. I know that's ironic to say, but I say that because it's working right now. If at any point I cut out, it looks like the Dota client might be having some difficulty. So that's what that is.
I think it's just
And
that's just a bug in your draft though.
okay, that's what I'm
Because
hoping, but just wanted to throw that out there because 7.00 introduced all sorts of little bugs, and I'm not confident that things are working yet. Wow. Okay.
Neither am I.
There's a pause, an instant unpause, and then a repause. It's the hokey pokey of play.
It's pause gaming all over
F9
again, isn't it?
You take the F9 out, you put the F9 in, and then you don't do anything because South American Dota sometimes takes too long to get started. And just so everybody knows, we are running behind schedule because Luccini also showed up very, very late to this game. Like they were 10 minutes away from being automatically disqualified. Apparently they're having some trouble with one of their players, but
apparently he lives like in the countryside, so it's like I don't know how it is.
They
how
said
hard it
he's
is
a
to actually get internet.
player. I don't know what that means. Like provincial, maybe. Maybe he's from the
provincial,
maybe he's from a different country. I don't know. Because it's Spanish speakers translating themselves into English for an English-speaking moderator, and the English-speaking moderator's first language is Russian, so there can be miscommunications in these things. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like the Tower of Babel of video game tournaments.
Oh God.
Well,
so we get some minutes here to catch our breath, and
yeah, that's good because we didn't really have a lot of time to go over this draft. For now, taking a look, the TA was the last pickup here for Not Today, who are I believe 2-0 so far. So they are, I think, favorites to come out here and end up at the tournament. Not Today, one of the most experienced teams in South America.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and TA obviously a really good matchup up against the Shadow Fiend with the Refraction. You don't really have an easy way to cut through that and still do damage. Not to mention the last hit advantage that you have early on. And once again, no clockwork this game, so no cog deny shenanigans and base to buff up the Shadow Fiend. So you might need some help early from the support to try and zone out the TA a little bit, secure these first couple of last hits, or perhaps level 2, so you can start raising things down for it. And outside of that, Shadow Fiends can always try and catch up in the jungle. It's not as easy as it used to be, like back before all these changes with the magic resistance aura on the small creeps and the mana increase on the Shadow Razors.
Yeah. Not to mention the jungle layout is not nearly as easy to get through. Like you can't really very easily stack from the mid lane anymore. You need a support come and do it for you. You can't stack as often, right? Because creeps spawn half as often. So in order to realistically get the stacks that Shadow Fiend needs in order to catch back up, you would need twice as long, which means that you're getting half as much. Basic arithmetic tells us it's not nearly as effective as it used to.
At the same time, I mean, Sven is a hero that's also been hit super hard by that particular change. Because that used to be a hero that we saw almost every single game, because you could always just stack up Ancients. He would farm those with a couple of levels and just got strength level 1, couple of points into Warcry. And then all of a sudden he would be like 2 or 3k ahead. And this new patch made it a little bit more interesting. Sure, there are 2 Ancient camps on the map.
But unless both supports are stacking, you're not gonna get half as many stacks.
Exactly.
Right? And that's assuming that your supports are stacking at all. It's much more common teams now to just not stack their Ancients. It's just not worth the effort in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
If you can stack your Ancients one time and it takes you a full rotation out of the way, and it's not something that you can be repeated, you're costing your carry time in terms of farm time if he's going over their knockdown just 2 camps, right? So you have to do it very regularly in order to make it worth your carry. Alternatively, you can rotate and try to grab a kill. And we've got a game of tic-tac-toe going on here between the two teams, or no, it's Sven. Okay.
It's
All right.
two players, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
Masoku and Hunter, I believe.
Yeah,
And
I
now
thought maybe
Nevermore.
they were going to do it across teams, and then I realized they can't see
No.
drawings. So
We can see it
that would
all,
be an
but
interesting little.
yeah.
If during a pause there was a little rest heads-up play against opponents.
That's what we need in Dota, mini games. Like we need a shopkeeper's quiz and things like that to pop up at
Competitive
pauses.
shopkeepers quiz.
Yeah.
It's like during pause, every player is getting bonuses, like the 1991 trivia quiz game sensation from Capcom, Quiz and Dragons. Just Dota version.
Maybe not quite as elaborate, but yeah, maybe something like where you have the shopkeepers quiz across both teams, then teams would have to hit a buzzer, and then if they get it right, then they get a point.
Honestly, I'd rather just have the 1991 Dragons have on and be available on my computer. I'd probably stop playing Dota at that, if I'm being entirely honest.
Yeah. Then we'll never hear from you again, Gorgon. That's not something that we want.
If I can't have what the Japanese thought were relevant Americans to relevant questions to an American audience in 1991, but the questions were written in 1988 about movies from 1970. If I can't have that in my life, I don't want to live. This is a real thing. This is a real thing that I really spend a lot of my time doing at the. I am not a sane person. Yeah. So
I would have never suggested that you were, to be honest. But this is why I like it so much.
So interestingly, the way that this ended, with all the stacks that we were talking about, yeah, it hurts the Sven, but I think it hurts the TA a lot more. TA with Sideblades used to be able to knock down stacks. Around 8 minutes, she'd be able to knock down a 3 or 4 stack, and she'd be able to get a Desolator up at about 11 minutes, or sometimes a little. She also gets a kill in laners. That's a very ambitious timing these days in order to grab that, and that just creates a wider window of opportunity for this Faceless Void to get going, for this Timbersaw to get a Bloodstone before the TA is just railing through people. She's not nearly as strong as she used to be in that timing window, but the alternative to that is her opponent's farming carry also goes off a little bit slower. So relative to her opponent's supports, she's not as fast, as strong, but relative to her opponent's carry, she actually scales better. So it's a weird balancing game where she landed, you know?
Yeah. Definitely a lot of these foundations of a lot of heroes have shaken up, but yeah. Of course, if it shakes up for both sides, then balances out again.
You find that being the case in a lot of situations, too, where like supports in general scale a little bit better because carries and cores are getting less farm out of them because of the difficulty stacking and.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I really like that as well that Dota went in that direction.
I do too. I think that was a good change.
Absolutely, because it used to be the case that like the 1 and 2 position got like everything, and the support stayed at basically 0 throughout the entire game. But now we get these supports who get some of their utility items up quite regularly, actually, like these Glimmer Capes, these 4 staffs, or even just like Arcane Boots and Urns or whatever, so they can actually do things. They can be more of an asset to teams, so it's more about getting the supports what they need to then feed back into the team and contribute to success more than you would be able to if you just pumped all of that money into a carry, if you know what I mean.
I absolutely agree. Like it was obviously for most teams in most situations economical in order to try to get your carry and just win on that player's back. There were some teams that didn't really fall into that, right? Like Secret during their heyday when they were really notoriously one of the greediest teams in Dota history, right? They always played like a farming 4 spot. Everybody on their team except Pylai die, basically.
Yeah.
Or Fly during his time.
Well, like
everybody on the team got items.
Essentially,
Yeah, exactly. But the rest of them got farm. And I think we're seeing that style of play normalize a lot more, especially with the changes over the last, honestly, like 18 months, but especially since 7.0.
Oh, yeah. Just the surge of roaming heroes. Like
30 seconds to
it's very rare.
As Skylands become less viable and you need people to go out and get. So I have no idea how long we were paused because the game timer doesn't. But I just want to make sure that your hitbox is coming back online. Felt like
should
it. Oh,
be.
yeah, I
I'm
see it up.
streaming.
Okay, I do see it up. I lied.
And I'm
It's
also
just hitbox.
seeing someone take a storm hammer to the face, follow-up available, perhaps from Sand King, but you're actually already skilled the cosmic finale. Still gonna get the first blood.
Luccini. They waited a long time to give up. But if they continue to play like that, this is going to be a game quicker than the pause and delay.
Yeah. By the way, you might want to check your microphone because you're cutting out every once in a while for like half a second.
How about this? Is this better? Am I cutting out anymore?
This is better.
Okay. Yeah, I slouched. I'm a sloucher. I was drinking some apple juices and slouching in my chair, and enjoying myself. How dare I? I like how the Rubik decided that this was the right time to come out and get some solo experience. The Sven walking up right behind him. Is this a support Sven? What's going on with this guy?
Looks like it. He gets put up in the high ground. Only has early boots in the wards. And also he sniped the Dire Courier to try and give them back that edge in the middle lane.
Yeah, he's gonna die for it, but honestly, it's worth getting the Dire Courier.
Is he gonna
kill.
die
Like,
though?
the
There's
Courier's
another lift in a couple of seconds. Tries to go for a neat little play with like.
Oh,
Walker
get
with a
there!
chase,
He got
but-
there.
Oh no!
Oh no!
He has a TP.
Okay,
All
he's
right.
got
Oh
God.
no, that happened to me once in a pub. Like I was trying to help out my buddy, who was stuck up there. I wanted to give him a TP. Then the Rubik was still around. He put me on top of there with him. That was
Well,
so
what would have been
frustrating.
especially bad if Timbersaw's what is going on here? Okay,
Just getting rid of the
Timbersaw's
buggers.
reactive armor is so good he can literally just sit and attack the bug while Weaver attacks him and not take damage.
That's on level 1, so he only had to burn through himself.
Yeah.
Level 2
But-
reactive armor is where it really gets impossible for a single hero to deal with him.
Before I realized that Lich had a TP, I thought that that the courier just died. He's up on a cliff, and there's no courier to bring him a TP. Like that could have really screwed up this game for them. Especially since they are running a support Sven, which is
Working.
going
I
to
meant to say.
rotate in. Yeah, well,
If
sort
they,
of.
might still be able to get it, yeah, with the Shikuchi damage. Barely
Weaver doing
enough.
very well.
In your timeline.
He's got a lot of mana regen. He can continue to do this roam thing quite a bit if he wants to.
2 extra clarities. That's like the one big limiting factor, right, for Svens. Like you have one stun in you, then you only have to clarity up.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the big limiting factors. One of the other ones, it's got just the stun, and that's all he gives. Right. A lot of supports give that stun.
Yeah.
He's trying to close in on the silencer. He's going to back off now. The silencer. Taking a look at the last hits, TA is well up on top of the Shadow Fiend. Wow, this Shadow Fiend's been forced out of lane, and the TA didn't even have a goddamn courier. Are you kidding me? Wow.
I mean, we need the courier if you get last hits, a good start on last hits before Shadow Fiend even can come to lane.
I like this because the Shadow Fiend is being schooled by Nevermore.
It's
So
ironic,
well
isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Sven is literally just chasing two heroes between these points. Like, that's all he's done since he got that kill bottom. He's just run between those 2 points. He could basically put his hero on control and go get a coffee or something.
so at what point does this turn into a liability? Because right now he's still sitting at level 1.
It depends on how much they can get done with a level 1 story. I'm not entirely sure. But, like, a level 1 Earthshaker is not that big of a deal. Right, because a level 1 Earthshaker is still really good at most stages in the game. Fissure is still very valuable, even if it's only level 1. A level 1 Sven doesn't have that same level of impact. He is going to throw out a stun here onto the Timbersaw, and they should be able to get this kill.
It's
Maybe
a Timber
not.
Saw, I'm not
Weaver's
sure
gonna
if you don't want to retract that statement. This time around Cyndarals, right there at the right time with some extra levels of his own. Silencer is quite a different hero. He can do a whole lot more with the levels that he can get.
Yeah, this
Also
is
back
a
in course.
situation where an extra level on Sven would have made a big difference, right? A Warcry there and that kill. Without the Warcry, they don't have it. So Timbersaw getting a return kill for his trouble earlier, and this Silencer sitting on top of 2 stolen intelligence, starting to get going here. He's getting book learned, drag and drop.
Book learns, like smart, you want to say.
Yeah, he's getting his education. All right, Rubik, I don't know what he's doing there. Bye-bye.
He's dying,
Yeah.
turning into
Well, let me rephrase.
a
I don't
puddle
know
of blood.
why he's doing it there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what's happening. Don't get me wrong. Didn't surprise me to see that it happened once I saw that he was there.
Oh,
Okay.
man. More bugs.
And
Little
will
sidesteps
not-
it.
There is a TP coming from the Rubik, and this has just become a tri-lane on tri.
We plop some wards now. Need to keep an eye on, because what Hunter has been doing is just walking up to the side here, just waiting to come back through here or even through there to throw down a stun. Somebody.
Yeah, it's smart.
See on this side, we'll be caught out.
He'll be fine. He's got war cry now. He should be okay. In fact, they want to turn it. I don't think they can get this kill on him.
Well,
And he seems to be aware. If they get him sufficiently low before they start engaging disables, then they can, but they need to get him really low. Wow.
That's a stun now. He's
Yeah,
fueled
this
up on reactive armor though, and look at this damage shield next to a tree. Another
Wow.
timber chain. They're not even done yet, are they?
Well, is it even worth it though? If he dies here, which I guess he won't, but he honestly feels like he should have.
Yeah.
There's no mana on the Lich, and there's no safety for the Weaver.
Yeah, if Weaver Shikuchi one more time, they would have taken out to the Arcane Curse, 100%.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, maybe he gets to kill on the Timber Saw. It's
But that's a
probably
big
not
if.
worth it though.
That's a big
Yeah,
maybe.
it-
He was sitting on 15 reactive armor stacks this entire time.
This is effectively your farming carry. This Weaver is like the Sand King is one as effectively an offlaner against the face. Right? So trading with the
Lane.
Weaver, I agree with you, not that great of a night. Or trading as the Weaver, I should say.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to get this kill, it looks like. It's going to be close, but he should be able to get away with reactive armor. No! The Shaku Tower, no TP reaction. Everybody's healing at the shrine is why. That shrine greed.
Oh my god, I was so confused for a second. Because his player name is 1. So it said, Weaver killed Timbersaw for 1,201 gold. And I was like, what? But it killed 1 for 201 gold, so... God
Right,
damn
here
it.
comes Hunter and Masoku, rotating around, all the way around. Smoker trying to come in on the Shadow Fiend, who has done a pretty admirable job of catching up. He's still about 10 CS behind, which is, I mean, it's substantial, but considering he was at less than half TA's CS earlier on in this game.
Yeah.
This is
Life
pretty
gets
nice.
much easier once you get your souls up.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to try to take that little comfort away from him. There goes the Psionic Trap. The Sven coming in with the Stormhammer. The damage is there. Wow, look at him just melt. And this TA doesn't even have, like, any negative armor yet. It doesn't even have meld yet. And he's already dropping that fast.
So far, support Sven. He finds himself a Regen Rune. Okay, why not?
Every now and then, the Dota gods smile down on you. This Timber Saw is going to be trouble, though. He's honestly not that far away from his Bloodstone.
Yeah, even though he died once, right? He's still right on the path in his one position.
He's basically got the money for his Soul Ring, so he's only 2,300 away, something like that, at 8 minutes into an aggressive tri-lane. They should be shutting him down more. And Gian is going to be calling out for another pause here. That's okay, though, because we haven't really had a chance to focus on a lot of the other lanes, because there's been a lot of action down here.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Talk about the top lane a little bit.
that's a bit of an interesting matchup. I would have loved to spend more time here, because it's been a while since we've seen a Faceless Void in action. Especially up against a hero like Sand King. You'd imagine that he wouldn't do all that well, but as it stands now, he's actually been keeping up quite alright with the Sand King in terms of CS. Considering the nuisance that Cosmic Finale is for any melee hero.
Yeah. He's a little less vulnerable than other heroes. Time Walk, right? Caustic Finale and Burrow Strike. Usually, when you're using that as Sand King against a melee hero, you're trying to get him low enough that you him. and that's not going to be the case against a Faceless Void. You never really get that burst.
No. Unless you get some external help with some extra control. Bonus around prevents him from getting that off and killing him. But we haven't seen that. All of these supports, as we've seen, has been spending a lot of time down bottom and mid as well, helping out.
I think I just dumped a bunch of little plastic ditties into my drink, so that's great. I can't even enjoy this.
Have fun fishing those out.
Yeah, it's like I'm drinking out of a cup that I got bubble tea from. I don't know if you've had bubble tea. I don't know if that's a thing in Germany, but like they seal a little bit of plastic on top of it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get the plastic off of the rim, and I accidentally punched it in my apple juice.
Damn.
That's right, Dota and apple juice. I live a hardcore lifestyle, motherfucker.
Yeah. No regrets, no alternatives.
Bring me my sippy cup.
Oh god. I actually got a sippy cup.
Ooh. I was just gonna say, look at this stack. That like, that's a pretty big stack for this patch.
Pretty much, it's double
That's
stack.
a
But
max
there's actually a
stack.
fight going on down here. Hunter being brought low and punished for his aggression.
Yeah, but look at that stack. Who needs to look at fights?
Are we like pulling this Moondark TV crap? We're just looking at neutral creeps all day?
Oh my god.
I would rather look at these fights here. Look at this. Nice little snipe down from Weaver with the box on the Rubik. Now it's just juking or jiving past the silencer.
Is he jump jive and wheeling? Never mind.
No.
It's, Anyway, mid, Masoku is catching up on levels, has gotten his level. On Lich, that's a spell you kind of want to find an opportunity to use at earliest convenience, because the sooner you use that, the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it scales perfectly fine, but if you can hit like level 5 heroes with that Ice Blast, you'll just absolutely demolish them. You hit level 7, level 8 heroes, they often survive. So, pushing a tower seems like it would be the way to go here. You've got the Weaver with the double damage rune down bottom. And, yeah, in fact, it does look like they are deciding to smoke up. They're going to bring the TA and the Lich down. They've got that ulti. And Sand King is just going to ult in. Absolutely destroy that Timber Saw.
That was a beautifully timed Stormhammer there from Sven. Just hitting just as the Timber Chain was connecting, so interrupting that to make sure can get all the damage in that they need.
Yeah. And then double damage, and of course God Strength. I guess this is one of the advantages of it support spend that I didn't really think about before. Is that even though he typically, like that God Strength isn't going to be super useful in team fights because he doesn't have any attack speed as a support, it's still pretty good against towers. Like it's a support that helps you push, and not a lot of supports that have hard stuns do that. It's like Vengeful Spirit. That's pretty much it, right?
Another support as well, actually, hang on, they committed Chronosphere, yeah. That was a smoke rotation from Q, and the Shadow Fiend. Oh god,
Dead
again.
everywhere. Everywhere is death. And Timbersaw goes down again. He is now sitting at 2 and 4. Once again, he did have basically an tri lane against him, but
Yeah, he was still on a good path, but after these two
he was
deaths,
doing
he's
really
kind
well
of
for a while,
stagnating quite a bit.
yeah.
Goes back for the casual cloak for now.
He's only gotten like 230 gold net since we last checked up on him. He's been losing pretty much everything he gets.
Top, they do see the Shadow Fiend, who plops the ultimate down, Global Silence, to help them out, and they do get the follow-up control on the Sand King with the stolen Burrow Strike of all things, and now they also have a little of extra silence on the Weaver. Viking Curse still taking for a little bit, and even a creep following him.
What a nice Requiem of Souls that was. Right into the perfect spot. There goes the stun, and Rubik is erased at the cleave of the Sven sword.
Hunter definitely working overtime here for not today. Yeah, another thing that his ultimate does for you as a support is you can use it much more liberally, and you don't have to worry about not having it in a team fight necessarily. Whereas as a core, team fighting without your ultimate is generally a really bad idea.
Yeah,
As a Sven.
that's true.
Oh.
Yeah, you can skirmish without the ulti, but you're right. We're going to have like 4. And he's going to Warcry and just get himself back to base, I guess. just retiring out.
Go to
Did they not
shrine, pick
return?
up
I
your
guess both their
shreds, I guess.
shrines are on cooldown now. Okay, makes sense.
Let's talk a little bit about Nevermore here on the mid TA, because he's actually way on top of the net worth chart. All he has is Desolator, now the Aegis in the inventory, and close to halfway to a Blink Dagger as well.
Well, not
This
only does he have
is-
102 last hits, but at least 14 of those came from Ancients.
Yeah.
Radiant had no... there were just no resources equivalent to what Nevermore had available to him. Because Luccini spent so much of their time trying to split that bottom lane. Goodbye. Very nice play.
Oh, the poor Weaver. I don't know what he was doing there in the first place, but it tried
feel that way a
Shikuchi on
lot.
out of there, and that was a raise on the invis after a right click followed him under the tower. Now Epicenter being channeled in the back. They want to fight this here, and they do find the Shadow Fiend and the Sign. A couple of spells being thrown out by Silence, and Nevermore as well as the Lich falling low. Nevermore has the Aegis Lich. Not so much. And it's just trying to make the most out of it. Another blink here across the cycle. Old Silence finally comes through as Rubik stole the meld. High command. Triggers the Aegis, finally being stunned up and dies.
He tried to use the meld there like you would use a Glimmer Cape. Like he tried to walk through it, and it cost him the cooldown. He did that twice, actually. He kept trying to use meld like he uses Glimmer Cape. Pretty clear that that's not a TA player, that Rubik.
Bottom lane at the same time, they do find Timbersaw, but 20 stacks of reactive armor makes it kind of hard to burst him down, but Nevermore, well, he has something to say about that armor with a freshly picked up Blink Dagger of his own, and then Melt Strike.
Meld Strike, Desolator, Blink Dagger, that is scary. I mean, 15 minutes is a really good time to have this much kit.
Yeah. This is where the scary phase begins for a Templar Assassin. It's traditionally been always been one of these heroes that if you get to the point, a couple of thousand gold ahead at this stage in the game,
Yeah.
like, you have the potential to just take over the entire game. And,
Absolutely. Like, you can literally knock down 5 heroes.
Yeah.
Shot, right? Because of the nature of the attack, and it's much more difficult to avoid against TA than it is against like a Sven carry, because Sven very predictably cleaves in an area of effect around the impact of his attack, whereas TA, depending what direction she decides to attack, she might hit you from a pretty decent far away. Yeah.
That is pure damage too on Psy Blades, not just normal damage. Oh god!
Yeah. Yeah, it's pure damage, but it is pure damage equivalent to how much damage it's done to the original target.
Yeah.
So if your original target has low armor, a lot of pure damage. If he has high armor, then it's very little.
First strike stolen by QQQ, but that is Nevermore. 1, 2, 3. That's all it takes. The Lich Ultimate just for good measure. And yeah, Rubik also being slowed down in moments, has the burst strike to try and get himself out. And he will not be able to. Yeah.
He did not even get to land off that burrow strike. He went up and never came back.
Meanwhile, Silencer also gets killed, so let's make a small little tombstone for him.
Dire's middle tower is under
And
attack.
things are
We were
not
trying
looking
to
good for
information.
Luccini.
Yeah, no, I'm really unsure what you do in this, because Timbersaw is still working on Bloodstone in 17 minutes. We were saying at 8 minutes that he was only like 2,000 gold away.
Yeah.
So that's a really bad sign about where you're at. And the Shadow Fiend has 15 Necromastery right now, and I honestly don't see him getting much higher than that at this juncture, because the TA is so momentum based. And this is one of the many reasons that TA is a really, really good pick into a Shadow Fiend. TA is super momentum based, and Shadow Fiend is one of these heroes that really does very poorly if he gets shut down even a little bit at any point, because he has to have all this catch up time.
Yep. I think what they need is a really, really big chrono play.
Yeah, they need a couple really, really big chrono play. Let's start with one and see where we go. Like a big chrono in silence could be enough in order to win them a fight.
Yeah, if you land it well enough, that Shadow Fiend is sitting on the outside, able to right click away a little bit, throw down some raises. And Timber's also just with the chakram.
Rubik
So
still
the
has
good
meld,
position
and
to
by
follow up.
God, he'll learn how to use it. He just did it again, where he melded and then walked through it. Maybe he's just doing to troll.
I think he knows you're watching.
Yeah, I'm just I am literally just following Rubik around to see how many times he melds and steps out of it instantly.
Well,
Let's talk about this trap placement though from this TA. Where are you supposed to go? If you're on Luccini, where can you farm? You can't go into the pit. You can't go outside the map. You can't walk through your mid lane. You basically have like that little teardrop shaped corner of the map.
they're looking to try and extend that though. Just smoked up. Jan going to the side. He does have a blink dagger as well, so good mobility on a void. Not so much in terms of damage, but still
Yeah,
needs
I
some
don't
help
think
to
that's
get
the
that
call.
off. There it is.
Where does
One
the
appears.
damage
There it
come
is.
from?
Chronosphere on 2. Hunter caught on the outside gets a stun off. Zindels with the early global silence to try and follow up. Yeah, just a chakram is not going to be enough. They will be able to finish up the lich. But now the
You
turnaround
take
is
what you can
there.
get.
With the epicenter follow up from Nevermore and Hunter. That is not good. Gian actually he's got some good bashes. So +2 for Zindels.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And
I'm not
that
sure
might
that
be a little
fighting
too
onto
big.
the Faceless
Yeah.
Void is the call. Or excuse me, fighting onto the TA for the Faceless Void seems to have not been the call. He used his only escape in order to get in there and then got burst down.
It's just a clear case of not respecting the power of Nevermore there.
Yeah. They did manage to defend this tower though, and they got a pretty decent chunk of gold there. Unfortunately, they traded about even in terms of, but for not today, almost all of the gold went onto the TA. So it was essentially, hey, we think your supports have too much gold and your core does not have enough. Why don't we just stack all of your, let's rearrange the gold that you have onto the one hero that we can't kill,
Yeah.
which is not really what you want to happen.
Especially now, if you look at network distribution, if you didn't see the icons, the hero icons, you would think that would be an alchemist because this is like more than
Oh,
5k ahead of the next highest farmer, which is his own tanking safe laner.
That's
Absolutely
obscene.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Radiant's
You don't
base
see that very
is
often.
under attack.
Not even his own team is keeping up. Like that's how
Yeah.
that's how far ahead he is.
I guess Zone is not spending too much time farming and pushing out waves.
Radiant's bottom
Oh,
tower
he
has
finds
fallen.
someone here. Interrupts the Timber Chain. They get the bugs on top of Timber Song. Now the Timber Chain interruption with the Yules. But he'll lift up on the Sand King, bringing him down. Stolen Berserk, time turns around, but Q just absolutely melts. So does poor little Timber Saw as soon as Nevermore catches up with the action.
I'm really 100%
John?
unsure what you do. Okay, bye.
Radiant's middle tower
Yeah, I'm not sure what you do in order to kill TA.
Dire's top
They're
tower
just
is
really
under
in a
attack.
way. So
So I think what you do is you like take poison. You try and trick the TA into like a reality TV prank. And then you kill him, like Kim Jong-un's brother, or half brother. I think that's the only way, actually, right now.
that's a very convoluted plan.
Yeah.
I am not going to lie.
Well, it worked for North Korea. It should work for them, right? No, I
Well.
don't know. Probably it's not gonna work.
Uh.
Don't think Dota has mechanics for that.
It should. I really want the fake reality TV show assassination mechanic to be added in Dota. I feel like it's really the next big leap in gaming technology. Here we go, some TP out, and the Faceless Void wants to fight. He's going to move on to the Lich again. He really hates this son of a bitch, and he's moving in, trying to get everything, but he gets no batch as Global Silence goes out, and they're just going to split for the time being. I don't think that Requiem of Souls hit anybody, and as soon as his silence wears off on the spend, it is going to be a turn with a stun. The silence is perpetual, though. Silence are doing a really good job of keeping it up on him. Meanwhile, on the back end, Nevermore, Kotaro is absolutely destroying the opposition as Shadow Fiend does go down, losing his souls there as well. Rubik finally having his own invisibility that he knows how to use is remains safe here inside of the Roche pit, but that fight, I guess it went about as well as you could have expected for Luccini, but that's still not great.
Yeah. If that's as well as they can expect, then yeah, it's not boding well. Because they got 1 kill on the not even on the Chronosphere, but after the Chronosphere.
Yeah, well after the Chronosphere.
Well after Chronosphere. Like, I think the only reason a lot of them stayed alive for so long was that Nevermore was just playing with the Timber Sword the entire time. It's on the left hand side of the pit, just kind of blinking at him and right-clicking him and whatnot, rather than focusing on the rest.
So, for Luccini's credit, like, they have not lost a... They are not in a great position to defend, but at least with Timbersaw's Chakram and with Shadow Races, it's going to be a little difficult to get creeps onto the high. Not
Is it though?
really,
Like,
but you gotta take every little piece of positivity you can at this stage. Because if I'm being real honest, this is looking pretty dank. And yeah, look at this. With the Aegis, Kotaro is just gonna run in and just absolutely style these kids. There is not a lot happening here that about.
And it's like, not today, they didn't even break a sweat that time. They still have the Aegis, can heal everyone up with the urns.
Here's what I'll say about I've casted a lot of South America in my day. Used to do a lot of South America casting for Sivo and a couple of other leagues that had a lot of these players in it. Breaking high ground is a weakness of South America's, and we're seeing how long it's taking. Despite the serious advantage that Not Today have, they're going to lose a Sven on that high ground attempt and then fall back. Like, just for whatever reason, the culture of the region does not let teams succinctly take high ground. They almost always comes down to this, like, hemming and hawing, slow pushing with weaknesses and miscommunications.
Because they keep
Kotaro
going for
getting
these kind of
another kill
kills,
here.
the Aegis will most likely be triggered in a moment. There it is. The damage is already done. Look at this Shadow Fiend with a back up top for Masculine. Will be able to finish him off. A time lapse back, and now the Timbersaw's next. Tried to invest him up, but he doesn't end up falling immediately anyway. It's Zone who's trying to finish him off. That's not gonna happen. But at very least, Space Creator to actually finally finish up that melee rank.
Ooh, there we go. They finally got it. 2.5 minutes later. The second bear should be pretty easy for them to get. Silencer actually had buyback there. Must have bought something while he was dead, because it does not have buyback now.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
That Epicenter just keep Faces Void busy. There's no Chronosphere for another 50 seconds, so I don't think they're worried about anything right now at all.
Radiant's bottom barracks has fallen.
That was interesting. Burst strike from both people at the same time, but it's actually the actual Sand King who
So we could not let
they're also happy about it. The actual Sand King has to follow up from the rest of his teammates. That's almost like a Lotus Orb moment, you know, when you burst strike someone who's Lotus Orbed, the burst strike the other way.
Wait, what was that? Oh yeah, when you click right on your the load.
Yeah.
Go the wrong way. It's like when you Spirit Breaker Charge of Darkness into an AM with Ags. It's pretty much the best thing that has ever been added to Dota in the history of Dota.
Yeah, Aim can still cancel it though, can he?
Yeah, you can cancel it, but if you... So I have... Some of my in real life friends are pretty low quality players. And I say that myself being quite a low quality player at this game. So when I say some of my in real life friends are low quality players, let me assure you that I mean real low quality.
Dude,
At that bracket when I play with them, when you charge an AM, he doesn't even know what's happening until he's like 4,000 units in the wrong direction.
I know a guy who's 400 MMR. Can you top that?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
The lowest I've ever met is 900. And
Oh, there it is. They're just cleaning house. Not much to say here.
yeah, honestly, there's just no coming back. So it would take Not Today charging full steam into their opponents without any regard for personal safety, into the fountain, dying 2 or 3 cycles over before this was even close to being recoverable. We're only 27 minutes into this game, so even if Luccini were to completely wipe Not Today right now, it would be surprising if they were able to get out and get a tier 1 tower out of it. Like, that's how far behind they are. We can get a team wipe and not a tier 1, and yeah, just whoop, bye.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
Yeah, I'm not even saying anything anymore. GG has been called, and
Gotta give it to them. They
Yeah.
showed up late. They paused a hell of a long time, but they put in the fight. Once they were here, they put in the fight because they could have GG'd out of that much earlier, and they stayed and they put in the work. They entertained us. I will give them that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always nice. Maybe it's just me being a German, but it's always nice to see someone like a P or like a TA or PA even for the same matter. Just go absolutely ham. Right? Or like that OD earlier, going 28
Yeah,
kills.
that was crazy.
Right? That's
21, 1,
Yeah.
and 11 or some crap
Yeah.
like that. Like, that was insane.
There's some morbid sense of enjoyment I get from that.
It's you live vicariously through
Yeah,
those.
exactly,
successes.
exactly. Because I know exactly that I'm probably never gonna get to the point where I can do that. But occasionally I get close, like when you get a rampage, which rarely happens to me anyway. Like you start to catch a small glimpse of that feeling of like utter badass manship or something. Is that a word? I don't think that's a word.
Badass manship.
Badass
It is
manship?
now.
Yeah, it
I'm
is now.
pulling out my Merriam-Webster and I am manually writing that right after badass and right after bad apple, which I also manually wrote. And basically, my dictionary is just a notebook. Explains my extremely low vernacular and misuse of the word vernacular.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got another game coming up here pretty soon. So why don't we go ahead and throw over to break and move into the game before I lose my goddamn mind?
That sounds like the best idea you've had in a while. So let's just do just that.
I don't have many good ideas, so it's not saying much.
But yeah, next game's gonna be Unknown versus Sekolah Delixo coming up next. So don't go too far away.